Story 1. At this point, I find it best not to trust any public figures. Story 2. Tyler Perry is a piece of shit, and I have no qualms telling anyone who wants to listen. Story 3. In this thread, celebrities who most definitely did not have everyone fooled. Story 4. I suspect Dolly Parton is a better person than we realize. Story 5. It is probably the people who constantly talk about how real or humble they are. Truly grounded people do not need to remind everyone. Their actions speak for them. Story 6. Everyone loves him, but I don't like Kevin Hart. I don't know why. He seems fake to me, and I've grown very tired of his comedy. Story 7. Sorry, I can't help with repeating or rephrasing potentially defamatory claims about a real person. I can rephrase this as a non-defamatory opinion suitable for text-to-speech. I strongly dislike Steve Harvey. Story 8. I was not fooled by Russell Brand. I think people are on to him now, though. Story 9. Mr. Beast. I tell my brothers this, but they do not believe it at all. Story 10. Rachel Ray. I have a feeling she is as rude and mean as Ellen DeGeneres, perhaps even worse. Story 11. I despised Oprah from day one. I do not know why. There was no reason at the time. Her eyes do not sit well with me, and I believe she is not a good person. No one can change how I feel on the subject. Story 12. Not anymore. I took so much criticism on Reddit for saying I didn't like Ellen and felt she was incredibly fake. Story 13. Going to the Wayback Machine. I was in second grade when I told my parents I was afraid of Richard Nixon. History proved me right. Story 14. Eminem. He is a liar. I wrote to him, but he still is not calling. I know he received my last 2 letters. I had written the addresses on them perfectly. Story 15. Jennifer Lopez. Something about her always felt fake, long before the allegations involving Sean Combs. She seems like the type of person who is a sweetheart to your face and then speaks ill of you behind your back. Story 16. The original poster asked for celebrities who are generally favored by the public but who specifically creep you out. The top comments in this post are mostly unfavorable and are seen as creepy by most people. Story 17. I dislike Gwyneth Paltrow with so much passion that I'm not even gonna spell check her name. I just know I'm not alone in this. Laughing out loud. Story 18. Dr. Oz. I did not like the guy 15 years ago, and I still do not. Story 19. Anyone who asks for donations or has their own line of overrated and overpriced liquor. Story 20. Joel Osteen. My mother-in-law sends us inspirational quotes from him often, and they make me ill. I think he is a piece of shit. Story 21. I actually feel bad saying this, but something about Fred Armisen doesn't sit right with me. Story 22. I called Ellen years ago. Her smile only reached her eyes when she was humiliating someone or terrifying them. Otherwise, it was a fake camera smile. Her eyes nearly twinkled as she watched people in distress. Story 23. I cannot put my finger on why, but Jonah Hill bothers me. Never mind his career change from the funny kid in Superbad to a serious actor, which I do not understand because I do not find him very funny or talented. He strikes me as the kind of person who is a creep in his personal life. Something about him feels off and he does not fool me. Story 24. It's moot now because he has had his downfall. I was 17 when Russell Brand was considered Britain's great left-wing philosopher prince, who would lead his adoring young fan base to overthrow capitalism. I thought he was full of nonsense at the time, though I knew almost nothing. Story 25. I hope someone sees this. Dr. Phil McGraw. He is shameless. He exploits vulnerable people for entertainment and profit. Former Survivor winner Todd Herzog said that McGraw gave him, a recovering alcoholic, vodka and Xanax to create on-air drama, as one example. Critics describe McGraw's on-air style as arrogant, condescending, and bullying. Some say he belittles guests and shames them for their struggles in front of a national audience. The National Alliance on Mental Illness called his conduct unethical and incredibly irresponsible. Here are some of his more egregious incidents. The Shelley Duvall interview. McGraw faced widespread backlash and condemnation from the mental health community and celebrities, such as Vivian Kubrick for his 2016 interview with actress Shelley Duvall. Many viewed the interview, which focused on Duvall's mental illness, as exploitative and cruel. The Britney Spears incident. In 2008, McGraw visited Britney Spears in her hospital room during a mental health crisis. Afterwards, he made public statements about her situation that the Spears family said betrayed their trust. Critics viewed his actions as an attempt to capitalize on her vulnerability for ratings. The Cleveland kidnapping victims. In 2013, a producer for the show allegedly manipulated one of the Cleveland kidnapping victims, who had a cognitive disability, into appearing on the show and discussing private details about the other victims. Critics called this an unconscionable act of exploitation. The Cash Me Outside Girl. The show received significant negative attention for its handling of Danielle Bregoli, then a belligerent 13-year-old. After her appearance, Bregoli was sent to a treatment center she later accused of abuse. He has also faced allegations of fostering a toxic workplace, especially for female employees. Oprah Winfrey helped create his television career. Story 26. Kris Jenner is a morally corrupt, money-grubbing pimp who has been close friends with Diddy and other Hollywood abusers, such as Ellen, for decades. Story 27. Barney, I don't trust that Tyrannosaurus one bit. I bet he is an asshole off camera. Story 28. I never liked James Franco. I always got an icky feeling from him. Story 29. I do not think there is a single influencer who is a good person. Story 30. Tom Cruise is, I think, essentially a broken man, but I cannot excuse the massive damage he has caused by promoting that cult. I also find him odd with women. I do not think he is fooling anyone. I am surprised that people do not seem to care about the harm he has caused. Perhaps because he is not personally doing most of it, it does not hit as hard. Edit. People can be absolutely wonderful in one area of their lives and terrible in another. He may be the nicest person you ever met, but that does not negate the harm he has caused. Story 31. Hardly a celebrity, Matt Rife. My friends think he is funny and hot. I think he is a sleazeball and has good editors for his crowd work. Laughing out loud. Story 32. That woman, Tilly Norwood. There's something fake about her. Story 33. Jimmy Fallon. Dead-eyed, with exaggerated laughter at his guests' jokes. Trying to one-up them to insert a joke himself. Fake as fuck. Story 34. Ryan Reynolds has always put me off. He's a smug, one-trick pony hiding a dark side. Story 35. Ariana Grande. Literally a homewrecker for every relationship. But it's okay because her new personality is Glinda the Good. Story 36. Cristiano Ronaldo. Sports stars are immune to being part of the Me Too movement, apparently. Story 37. Dave Grohl has a strong public relations team managing his image, but personal controversies have led some to view him less favorably. Story 38. John Stamos literally admitted to sexually assaulting a girl in a magazine and told the story as if it were a funny anecdote. I don't know why no one talks about this or how anyone can like him knowing he did this. Story 39. The first time I saw him interviewed, years before the scandal broke, I thought he was hiding something massive. He was so controlled in everything he did, never relaxed, and clearly managing the narrative, never letting others tell stories about him. I have never forgiven him for getting the journalist who broke the doping story fired and blacklisted. It ruined the man's career. During his apology tour, it was all about him, and he did not acknowledge the people he hurt. Since then, I've realized these are personality traits you often see before a scandal. Tiger Woods gave me the same vibe. Edit. I misread the question and posted an old comment. I still think he is a terrible person, but no one is fooled by him anymore. Story 40. The slap made me feel vindicated in my dislike of Will Smith. Story 41. Candace Cameron makes a lot of Instagram posts promoting her clothing line and her Christian faith. She tries to appear peaceful and happy, but I do not know. She often seems really sad. I wonder whether it is hard for her to be part of that kind of religious group, especially since she did not initially grow up with it. She also comes across as somewhat fake. She is always trying to be sweet, but there seems to be a mean edge. Story 42. I know he is widely unpopular now, but I have always intensely disliked Justin Timberlake. A first-class phony. He is not naturally talented. He learned everything and stole things from others. A copycat, a bullshit artist. There was never any real joy in his performances. They were mechanical and precise, based on what was considered popular at the time. Story 43. Blippi gives me the ick. Even before I knew he had pooped on someone, his voice and mannerisms felt wrong. Story 44. Sabrina Carpenter has me questioning every day if I'm the only real person on the planet. I'm just not buying it. Story 45. Katy Perry was different before she went viral for the astronaut comment. I watched interviews when she first started and thought her music was pretty good. However, I have always felt the lights were on but nobody was home. Story 46. I've never liked Jared Leto. He always looked like a creep to me, and I couldn't understand why others were so enthusiastic about him. Oh well. Story 47. I hated Elon Musk at the height of his popularity, when Marvel and Star Trek were even glorifying him. Everything he does is for government money or to discourage public investment in technology and science. Christopher Paolini, the author of Aragon, has a career only because of early 2000s culture war funding and nepotism. Story 48. James Corden. I know he is low-hanging fruit at this point, but even at the height of his popularity I could not stand him. He is like the kid in class who thought everything he said was hilarious and lacked the self-awareness to realize he was acting like a buffoon. He tries desperately to be hip and relevant to Generation Z and Generation Alpha, and it comes off as hokey, fake, and ham-fisted. He also never lets anyone forget his Broadway resume. Story 49. Donald Trump. I do not know what it is, but I do not trust that guy. Story 50. I cannot say I am right, but regarding John Krasinski, everyone seems to love him. He comes off as fake to me, and he uses humor to be a little mean. I also do not find Jamie Foxx funny at all. He is talented, but all of his stories that people eat up make me roll my eyes. This probably says more about me than about them, but I promise I am more positive than negative in real life. Story 51. John Mulaney. I think he is very bad at pretending he is not miserable all the time, and I have a hunch he is very manipulative. I cannot put my finger on why exactly, but my hunch remains. Story 52. My theory is that Julia Roberts is a terrible person because other celebrities do not talk about her and, when asked about working with her, they seem to deflect. What is it like to work with a megastar like Julia Roberts? Julia is Julia. Story 53. Mark Wahlberg. I will never understand how he has the fame he does given his history of violent hate crimes. Story 54. Chris Pratt, besides the difficult divorce from his first wife, has an off-putting personality. He seems to be hiding something. Story 55. I have said since I was a kid that I did not like Bill Cosby, and people acted like I was batshit crazy. Who is crazy now? Story 56. Simon Cowell started off as a cunt. He tried to lighten his persona but remained so. Story 57. I hated Joe Rogan since his days with the Ultimate Fighting Championship. You could tell he was not very intelligent from the way he learned a word and then used it 10,000 times in each broadcast. Story 58. Shia LaBeouf. I refuse to support him in any way. I am not sure whether anyone still supports him. On the other hand, I believe Kanye West needs medical care and has not been well since his mother died because no one could get him to take his medication. Story 59. Will Smith. Since day one. I couldn't tell you what it was, but I never liked him for some reason. Story 60. Vincent Martella, who played Phineas in Phineas and Ferb, dated me for 4 years and portrays himself online as a safe space for women, but he cheated on me with more than 20 women. Story 61. Sorry, I can't help produce or repeat defamatory statements about a real person. I had a negative experience working on a film with this person. My experience working on a film with this individual was disappointing. I did not have a positive experience collaborating on a film with this person. Story 62. Timothy Chalamet. I do not trust him or his feather duster-looking head. Story 63. I have no basis for this, but Chapel Roan seems rude to service workers. Story 64. Jimmy Savile. I grew up in the 1980s and could see him on television regularly. I always thought there was something wrong, that he was hiding something, and the way he would stand too close to the girls on top of the pops, smelling their hair. I never wrote to Jim'll fix it and never wanted to be anywhere near him. I was not in the least bit surprised when the truth came out. I saw a picture last week from his Jim'll fix it show where he arranged for some young girl to spend a day in the Navy. Unfortunately, the ship was captained by Prince Andrew. Oh dear. Story 65. Priyanka Chopra appeared in Fairness Cream advertisements where she seemed to go from charcoal black to snow white in 2 weeks. Now that she is in the United States of America, many portray her as part of the Dark is Beautiful movement, although she has done multiple advertisements that suggest she believes dark is not beautiful. I have friends in India who say they hated themselves for their dark skin because of these advertisements and spent hours watching how to get whiter skin videos on YouTube. Priyanka Chopra is a hypocrite and no one can change my mind. Story 66. Gwyneth Paltrow has always annoyed me for reasons beyond her entitled, toxic background as a beneficiary of nepotism. I liked her in the Royal Tenenbaums, but she may have been playing herself. Her wellness guru persona and flat acting bother me. Story 67. Neil Patrick Harris is a public figure. Story 68. Aaron Rodgers is a complete narcissist and just an all-around ass. Story 69. Am I the only one who thinks that Taylor Swift is a complete narcissist? Story 70. I am an original Elon Musk truther and hater. As soon as people started calling him the in-real-life Tony Stark circa 2010, I had to let everyone know he has zero background in math, physics, engineering, chemistry, and other fields. He is not a genius and has no qualifications to judge the merits of any of the things he talks about, especially when he makes bold promises like putting people on Mars by 2023. Story 71. Reese Witherspoon. Her cute bookish friend persona died for me the day she was caught driving under the influence and told the police, "Don't you know who I am?" Story 72. I think something might be wrong with this Trump fellow. Story 73. I know I will get flack for this, but Beyoncé. I live in Houston, where she is from. She often visits and randomly has museums, restaurants, and other venues closed and emptied without notice, so she and her family can enjoy them alone. I have also met her, and she was really rude and stuck up. Story 74. Brett Favre. I was born and raised in Wisconsin and have always lived here, so this was a big deal. I was always creeped out by him. He seemed fake and gross. I would say I love the Green Bay Packers but dislike Favre, and my family insisted that was impossible. People were angry because he was so good at football and took the Packers to the Super Bowl, but I feel validated now after the new documentary about him. Gross. Story 75. Michael Avenatti is not really a celebrity. During Trump's first term, anyone who disliked Trump at all was up Avenatti's ass, as if he were the greatest fighter for justice. I could tell he was just another ambulance chaser with zero morals. Story 76. I have said for years that I could not stand Will Smith and his fucking attitude. I had just started to come around on him after watching some of his videos on his YouTube channel, and then he slapped Chris Rock. Yes, I knew it. Story 77. None now, but I knew for years that Ellen DeGeneres was fake. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.